Nothing changes instantaneously. In a gradually heating bathtub, you'd be boiled to death before you knew it. Our Father, who art in heaven. Seriously? What the actual fuck?
Gilead doesn't care about children. Gilead cares about power.
Why does healing have to be the only goal? Why can't we be as furious as we feel?
For whatever man sows, so shall he reap.
Welcome to Above the Garage.
Hi, friends. Welcome to our discussion of Season 6, Episode 2 of The Handmaid's Tale. Let's do our round of introductions and dive in.
Hi, I'm Ginger.
Hi, I'm Tina.
Hi, I'm Aubrey.
Hi, I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Kate. So this episode is entitled Exile. It's written by Jay Holdham, directed again by Elizabeth Moss, and cinematography is Nicola Daly. So we open with Serena waking up on the ground after being unceremoniously shoved out of a moving train by her favorite frenemy, though June did it to protect her. Thankfully, she must have landed on her back, because baby Noah is okay. That would have been a real messed up plot twist otherwise. Serena gets back up on her feet to go find help, and lo and behold, the very first thing she runs into is a church, which, of course, will only embolden her in her righteousness further, so yay. And that's what she tells Noah. God is with us always. He certainly seems to favor her as someone approaches immediately to help her. And the next thing we know, she's waking up in a car in the daylight. She picks Noah up and looks around to take in her new digs. She's been delivered to a working farmhouse by the looks of it. Lots of people bustling about. And a kind woman named Abigail comes out from the house to greet her. Turns out she's arrived in Canaan, aka the Promised Land in the Bible. Oddly, Serena owns up to not being a refugee right off the bat, and it seems like Abigail knows exactly who she is anyway, but she assures Serena that everyone's welcome here, war criminal or not. I mean, she didn't say that part, but it was heavily implied. And then she asks Serena what she wants to go by rather than what her actual name is. Serena chooses Rachel. Of all the names in the world, she went with Rachel. This woman is not trying to actually hide herself at all, despite what happened on the train. Because the Rachel and Bilal story from the Bible is what they built the whole ceremony around. Rachel allowed her husband to impregnate her handmaid, and so they really clinged on to that passage.
So she's at Canaan, and in the Bible, as you said, it refers to the Promised Land. But I also researched that it refers to the Promised Land as given to the descendants of Noah's grandson, who was Canaan. So it's kind of interesting that her son is Noah.
Yeah, Noah's arrived in Canaan.
And then also I looked up Rachel in the Bible as well. And it says that Rachel was remembered as a powerful agent for the people. And she was considered one of the most important matriarchs in the Old Testament, which Serena, writing her book and everything to help start Gilead.
Right.
Like she sees herself as like the matriarch of Gilead.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know if anyone's noticed this, but I feel like the lighting and the cinematography this season has even pushed up a notch.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I don't know. It was amazing before, but the lighting this season has just been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that wide shot of Serena at the church, with the church full in the background.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, that was a really pretty shot. And I just wanted to say, their baby casting was A+ excellent because the baby actually looked like a newborn, which I think is really rare for a TV show. They did a really good job.
A+ on their baby casting. I think both babies are adorable.
Mm-hmm. Both babies are, yes.
They are very cute.
So stinking cute.
The lighting on Serena as she is approaches Kanan in the car, it was beautiful. I feel like this whole episode I'm just going to keep talking about the lighting, but...
As you should. It's a big part of the show.
I mean, Yvonne's gorgeous already, but...
The show is so good at their lighting, though. It always has been, so...
Yeah, it's beautiful.
They're very careful about making it important.
Right.
It really tells a lot of the story.
Yeah.
It's a good seg into the next scene because June wakes up just bathed in light, and it's quite contrary to the darkness that I could hardly see Serena through when she woke up in the first scene.
No, yeah, I agree.
I couldn't tell it was her for a second. I was like, who are we looking at right now?
Yeah.
You know what that lighting reminded me of, actually, though, is some of the flashbacks with her and Hannah, where they're in Hannah's bed.
Yeah.
And especially what's about to happen. The song.
The song, yeah.
All right, so June walks downstairs and finds her mom, Holly, singing to her daughter, and she takes a moment before announcing herself to watch the miracle that is her mother and her daughter, who she never thought would ever meet playing together. And then Nicole's a really smiley baby. She's so happy.
So cute.
Speaking of the happy smiling baby, who I still think is cast amazing because she's gorgeous, I think they should take her for a well baby visit because I don't think that she's growing on track.
Yeah, it doesn't match reality at this point. When you try to add up the months, you're like, how old is this baby now? I feel like she should be 3, probably, right? Like 3 or
Yeah,
4.
I think if we sat down and did it, she should be at least like 3. She should definitely be walking and talking a little, which would be fun to see. But I imagine as casting babies goes, it's easier when they're not walking and talking. I don't know, but it's pretty funny how she's been frozen in time for what, 3 seasons?
Yeah, because how old is Charlotte at this point? Like, how old do you think that child is? 4, 3, or 4?
Yeah, I would definitely say 4.
Yeah, so because June was pregnant shortly after Janine, right? Like it was
Yes,
maybe the baby was 6 months old when June was pregnant, something like that,
right.
or less, maybe less.
I would say less. Charlotte should be a year older. I mean, around a year older than
Nicole,
Holly.
yeah,
So that would make her at least like 3.
3-ish.
So I think
Yeah.
Charlotte's aging probably appropriately, and then they've just stuck baby Holly.
Under 2.
But it's like all super cute babies playing her, so it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny at this point.
Yeah, I think they stretched the timeline a lot because they condensed the amount of time that had passed in 4 and 5 a lot more than it seems like it should be.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I remember hearing that Holly, I think is at the end of season 5, yeah, when they're like getting on the train, right? Or around that time, she says she's 21 months or 22 months old,
Oh, yeah.
which doesn't track really, but
No.
that's okay. She's cute.
It's okay. We're going to let it slide.
Yes.
She's super cute.
The song that Holly is singing to baby Holly / Nicole is the same song that June sang to Hannah in the flashbacks in, I think it was season 1. And then she also sang that song to Nicole in season 5.
Adorable.
I should say Nicole because now we have 2 Hollys. It's like,
Yeah.
I did that in this episode. Like, them telling her the Holly name has actually, well, I guess it didn't matter. But the fact that there's a Holly has made me say Nicole like more because you have to differentiate,
exactly.
even though I like to call her Holly.
Yeah, but that was such a sweet thing to me that they referenced that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Now it like adds layers to what June was doing before because you're like, oh, that was the song her mom probably sang to her, and that's why she's
Right.
singing it to her children, which is just very sweet.
Yeah.
June won't let her mom look at her arm for some reason, and then Holly addresses the red tag. Unsurprisingly, Holly is an old hand at removing those things, she says. But June looks at her like she's crazy and explains she'll never remove it until all the handmaids are all free.
I really like that.
Yeah.
It's also such a change from where she was like at the beginning of season 2. Remember when she like took the scissors to like cut it out on her
Oh
own?
God, yeah. Who could forget that scene?
Yeah, nobody. But it's such a huge change like in her mental state, I think, at this point to show she doesn't want it out. But back then, that was like the first thing she wanted to do was like get that out of my ear. So
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think even if all the like she's saying, I don't want to take it out until the handmaids are free, essentially. But I think even after that, I think it's such a part of
It's such a part of her, yeah.
her identity now. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And she's like owning it. So I think she probably wouldn't take it out even then.
I feel like actually we'll see her in the next show taking it out at the end, maybe, now that they've referenced that.
That could be cool.
That would be cool. Like you could flash forward to her like when she's like 90.
And then cutting her ear
And
again,
she's
like
digging
it's
it out,
bloody.
like, yeah.
With a pair of scissors again on her own.
Yeah. Yeah. Did anyone get reminded of the Waterford house when she woke up, when she was sitting on the edge of the bed with like the
Yes. Her room.
window lighting like behind her?
It felt like her room, right?
Yeah.
Very similar.
But I think that combined with like the music, which kind of reminded me of like when she got off the boat in season 4, like that kind of hopeful music.
Mm-hmm.
I think that and the light, and now she's with her mother, is very like showing that she's in such a different place than she was at the beginning of season 5, where she was a mess, and now she's more peaceful, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. She will, however, allow her mom to make pancakes.
Another thing she did for her kids, for Hannah.
Yeah. But she doesn't get very far into the pancakes before June starts interrogating her with the most difficult questions. What happened to Holly when it all went down? She paraphrases the paragraph in the Handmaid's Tale book. In the book, it says, when the man got the door open, what we found was chaos. There was furniture overturned, the mattress was ripped open, bureau drawers upside down on the floor, their contents strewn and mounded. But my mother wasn't there. Back to the show, though, and speaking of lines, one of my favorite lines in the whole episode is Holly's single-word sentence after she tells June that she was kidnapped and given a kangaroo trial where the men wouldn't even show their faces. Pussies.
Yeah.
It's so Holly.
Yeah, it really is.
She attributes still being alive to her usefulness as a doctor to the aunts and guardians. They killed her friends, unfortunately, but she swears she hung on solely with the hope that she might see June one day. And when June asks why, she turns around and tells her to her face that it's because she knew that June would survive anything they threw at her, because that's how she raised her. And now here she is.
Mm.
And interestingly, and I'm not going to read the book all day, but after the passage about her apartment, June says in the book, I think of my mother sweeping up deadly toxins the way they used to use up old women in Russia sweeping dirt, only this dirt will kill her. I can't quite believe it. Surely her cockiness, her optimism and energy, her pizzazz will get her out of this. She will think of something, but I know this isn't true. It's just the passing of the buck as children do to mothers. End quote. But she did survive. They both did.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I like that because obviously in the flashbacks, I think their relationship was, it seemed, I don't know, I don't want to say strained or anything. I don't know if that's the correct word.
Oh, that's the word I was thinking.
I think that's a good word for it.
Very rocky.
Yeah.
Rocky, yeah, strained, yeah.
And it would have been so nice for June to hear that. Like she knew that her mother loved her, but the fact that she survived wanting to find June, and that's why, she continued on in survival mode. Just
Yeah, it gave her strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gave her strength to know that one day she'll see her again. And I feel like it would have been really positive for June to hear that.
And that she had the faith that she would survive, So like even back then,
Yeah.
even though they had their problems, she still believed in her and she knew she was like strong. I think that's would have been a nice realization for June that she wouldn't have thought.
It's kind of like a much, much better way of just telling someone you're proud of them.
Yeah.
It's essentially what she's saying.
Yeah. If she knew all that June had done too,
yeah,
like she would be like making trophies, medals, like she would be like I'm surprised though, like I would have thought that like she would have
heard.
Yeah, like because June was such a big name, everyone talked about like Angels Fight, everything, all that kind of stuff. So I would have thought she would have heard about it.
I guess it depends on where in the country she was, maybe though, if she was like out west or something. And
yeah.
Obviously June was very famous in Gilead and the Northeast, but like you just wonder, like on the west side of Gilead, like Colorado, California, all that, does the word travel that far? Like how June is
right. You think she's only a regional hero?
Yeah, they have their own June Osborne. Yeah.
They probably do.
You're right, they probably do, yeah.
They covered a little regarding the last 6 months where she's been out because they say they don't really get news or something to that effect.
Yeah, I think she said Gilead cut off the internet and phone lines to Alaska is what she said.
Right.
And actually, I was surprised to learn that Holly had only been free for 6 months since the army freed her colony. She could have gone on to Hawaii. As we know, June thinks Hawaii sounds nice. But like you said, she wanted to stay here, hoping that June and Hannah would come through here first. So June tells her this short and slightly prettier version of what happened to Hannah, not the more detailed and heartbreaking version that she told on the train last episode. She tells her Hannah's with a commander and his wife. She's healthy. June's seen her. She's so beautiful, and she tried to save her. But she tells her mom through tears that Hannah didn't remember her the last time she saw her, which is a little bit crazy because she saw her like a year ago and she remembered her. But I know they're trying to make it fit in with the Testaments where Hannah does not remember her. So I guess we're doing that now.
Wait, when was the last time they saw each other?
The box.
The box in season 4.
She was in the box.
She didn't remember her, right? In the box.
She was, okay.
She was scared of her.
Right. I think she was just really scared of her in the box because she looked like insane. And also she was trapped in a box. But she had seen her maybe like 6 months beforehand at the summer house when June was literally 9 months pregnant because she had her baby that night.
Yeah.
And we can see that the baby is not very old. So she did remember her within the last, year and a half, I would say tops.
Yeah.
And you don't forget that. And then also last season they had her writing Hannah. So
yeah,
it's a hard sell, I think, that she doesn't remember her.
I kind of wonder if, because we don't really see anything about Hannah between those two incidents, except I guess in season 3 when June tries to go to the school and then they leave. But I'm just wondering if they did some pretty intense like brainwashing on Hannah after that.
That was my thought.
Right.
And like trying to get her to repress her memories.
It was less that she didn't like know who June was. She was scared of her. So I almost wonder what she has been told about June. It's like...
Yeah.
But can you make somebody forget something if you just like...
I mean, probably with drugs.
Yeah, I
would hope that they wouldn't.
What I liked about that moment is I know sometimes shows like to shy away from doing like exposition like that, where a character is telling another character something we've all already seen. But I think it worked really well here because it shows how June perceived what happened. So like
Mm.
and her, what she perceived is that Hannah didn't remember her, but what we all kind of think, I think, is that it's not she didn't know who she was just like scared of her. Like like you said, Aubrey, like they brainwashed her into thinking like she's a bad person or something. But I know the point, it's kind of muddy with the whole show, but I just thought it worked really well in this instance to let us know how June felt about that situation as she explained it to her mom.
Yeah.
So I really like that they did it there.
I also like too that she felt, I don't know, it almost felt like she felt comfortable like talking because Holly was so understanding when June told her about Hannah, which obviously, like as a mother, especially as the daughter of a fighter, like we know how much guilt June feels about not getting Hannah out. So I think, I don't know, it's kind of nice seeing Holly just be like very gentle about it and kind of like not really judging her, but more like she's like understanding, but then she's also gently kind of told her like we're not going to give up, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, and Holly's probably feeling the same way. She was unable to protect June or Hannah herself too, like that's why she said, I shouldn't have fought. I should have protected my people.
Right. And she didn't stop looking for June, just like June.
Right.
There's a moment where Nicole kind of makes some sounds in the background, and June and Holly are still talking. They're like in a deep conversation, and Holly's speaking. And June like kind of looks over her shoulder, like in the direction of the baby. And something about that just really added some realism to the scene. Like it was just such a real moment of like, oh, the kid's making a noise. I'm going to look over there real quick. Like, even though we're having this conversation, I like stuff like that when they show like life happening around a scene kind of.
Yeah, same.
I also like that Holly kept calling Nicole smart, kept saying how smart she is, which Nick had said to June back in season 2 when he was, we were talking about Holly and he's like, oh, she's smart like her mom.
That's the same scene too, where Hawaii came up. So a couple similarities there.
Yeah.
I think you can sort of see June thinking about that. She makes like a little face. I mean, maybe not that scene, but just about
that fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, at the end of the scene, when Holly says, oh, you are tough, and they're hugging, and June kind of like shakes her head. I really liked that too, because it's nice to see that June still has, like, she hasn't turned into a superhuman. She still feels incapable and weak sometimes, like we all do, but she's still going to do what has to be done. It's like when, you can't be brave unless you're afraid.
Mm-hmm.
I just liked seeing that in her, that she was allowing her mom to see that moment of doubt in her that she wouldn't probably show her, fellow handmaids or people that she was actually trying to help.
Right. Yeah. She never has those moments.
Yeah, like she felt like she could be vulnerable with her, which she doesn't feel that way with many people.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I just love what they do with music in the show. And I love how, like, it's like soft music. And then when Holly had said it's not over, you can kind of hear a little bit of like the Gilead music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Adam's fucking killing it as usual.
He's amazing.
He is.
I said on the last episode, like I've really missed
his music.
Yeah, really watching these episodes, I just realized how much I love the music in this show.
It adds so much.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it. I literally cannot imagine how he sits down.
No, yeah.
It's amazing. And now we see Luke. Tuello actually managed to get him out, and Moira is, of course, there to meet him, too. Unfortunately, Luke's trial still won't be held for months, and his day or two in jail has given him the time to reflect and truly get angry about his daughter being stuck in Gilead and headed to wife school. God, Samira's gorgeous, but I digress.
My thing was, I literally just wrote down, what do we think is the main reason Luke is suddenly so desperate to do something after kind of being complacent through season 5?
Mine too. My note is just in all caps. Where was this energy 3 seasons ago?
Do we think it's because he's been with June now for a while and she's been pushing and he feels guilt?
It's for sure her comments. Like, the comments that she made to him last season weren't nice, and they were true.
Yeah, you did fucking nothing and all that, yeah.
Yeah.
If he wants the relationship to work, which I assume he does, it seems he does, he's going to have to fucking do something.
Right. And it's come a long way.
I hope he's not doing it for that reason, though.
Yeah.
Well, then he saw her literally get run over by a car because he never witnessed what he did in Gilead. So now...
That's also true, yeah. He never...
Yeah.
I don't know. It would have been difficult for him, but still, I don't think he contemplated about that enough. But I guess, like you just said, seeing her actually physically being run down by a car and being in that situation, he's probably realized, well, fuck, maybe I've fucked up this whole time.
Yeah.
And he killed a man over it. So, like, those are pretty extreme consequences.
Yeah, that would change you a lot.
For sure.
It was just season 5 when he was, like, doing all the stuff with the papers and Serena. Remember? He was like, oh, I got the documents. They're going to kick you out.
Yeah.
You know, which is like he's doing something. It just
Which, to be fair, I thought was a good idea, but it was just a different way of fighting than this.
to me going from that to like now, oh, we're gonna run away and join Mayday is like such a like huge.
Yeah.
I mean, but you know, he did. I mean, he had a lot going on. You're right. Like June got hit by the car, and like I can see how that could like spark something. But
He's also killed someone, like one of you just said.
Right.
Like, that would change you. That would fucking change you a lot.
yeah, that's true.
Like, you've got literally blood on your hands. You've literally killed a man.
Maybe he enjoyed it. Maybe he finally let his like rage out and he enjoyed it, and now he wants to go kill some more people.
I mean, you've got to do something.
I do feel like this is going to be the new Luke, though, this season, you know?
Yeah.
Since he's opened up immediately with all this rage and
Well, yeah, we have said that he's been doing nothing. So, I mean, we can be mad about him doing something, but
He should be.
I'm kind of happy that he's actually getting off his ass.
I just want to understand it more, I guess. But maybe they're going to have maybe him and June will have a conversation about that, because I imagine that this will be,
Hopefully.
I mean, she seems surprised later in the episode, even about what happened. So
right.
maybe they'll talk about it.
But you know, all that said about him, like okay, we're gonna go help Mayday, we're gonna go get out. It still feels one of those things that's almost kind of like half baked. Like it feels really good symbolically.
Yeah.
But it feels like them like just okay, we're gonna go in and help Mayday without any like real plan. You know, it's gonna make him feel good. They might even, you know, make some kind of small change, but it's overall, I feel like I said, it just feels kind of like a half-baked thing. Like, I'm gonna go do this, but I don't have any like real plan of what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like going in like, oh, let's do it. Oh, shit, we're going to get killed in the first 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Moira's smart. Like, you know, Moira can lead all that because she knows what she's doing, even though she hasn't been doing it.
Yeah.
It's good to see her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Tuella, my man.
Woohoo!
My man is stepping up. This episode, he's becoming my fave. Like, I love Lawrence. Lawrence will always be my fave, but Tuello is going up there, especially in the scene with Nick. Like, whoo,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
boy, he's on it.
I mean, June did a lot of rushing off half-baked in the early
Right.
For sure.
stuff too. It's like before she kind of learned how to
Yeah.
Definitely.
what to do and how to
Be slightly smarter about it.
strategize a bit. But
So it fits because he's like behind. He's coming up behind her, like
Yeah.
with the realization
Yeah.
of what needs to happen. So it works.
yeah.
So Mayday is about to run an operation to kill the people that shot down Hannah's would-be rescuers from last season, and Luke wants in on it.
Very excited about this whole Mayday thing.
Me too.
Yeah. It's a great setup.
Finally.
Very excited for Rebellion. Last season, there just wasn't much Rebellion, so yeah.
Do we assume that Luke is out on bail? Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my assumption.
I think they say that at some point.
He's just ditching his bail requirements to go do this. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever Carradine, yay! Naomi is back in the next scene, and it seems she and Lawrence are nesting, for lack of a better word, or fighting over everything in the house. Luckily, Nick enters just in time to break up the fight. Is this the very same path he walked into this house at the end of the last season when he punched him?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the same shot, even, it seems like, the way the camera is like from the side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that's what it made me think of immediately. Much more anticlimactic ending this time. It seems there are no hard feelings, or not too many anyway, as Lawrence calls Nick champ and invites him into his office. But not before threatening Naomi not to touch any more of his things with, "Don't touch these, please. I'm a commander."
It was so funny.
He said it in like the strangest, like not.
That was the funniest. Oh, I love Bradley Whitford. He's just
He's so funny.
the cues that he has. Like he knows what he's doing, and it's like he's so comedic timing is so good.
He's so good.
Oh no, he's the very, very best.
Something about his posture
Yeah.
during that line too. He like stands up real straight and like very like rigid looking, and then pushes the door. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
He does a lot of physical comedy.
And the fact that he's holding this like globe almost, like just
Yeah.
he has like all his things
Yeah.
in his hands.
Oh, right,
like,
right.
These are my things, and I'm a commander. Like,
So funny.
You're right. The holding of the things, yeah, makes it so much funnier.
yeah,
I just love that, like, with his, with Eleanor, when he was married, like, he was running that house, and it's just funny that Naomi, like, wants to be in charge and he doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So funny.
Nick says he's there simply to warn Lawrence that his father-in-law's on the way over. So before Wharton gets there, Lawrence is quick to assure Nick it really wasn't him who ran June over, despite sympathizing with the person that did. And Nick replies with a sick burn when Lawrence asks if he believes him. "I believe you don't have the power or the capability."
Oh,
I don't know what this new dynamic is, but I might be into it.
yeah.
Nick is so like smirky in the scene.
Yeah.
Like he's cocky about it kind of, which is interesting. And he even like laughs after he says that line about I don't believe you have the power. Like Lawrence laughs, but then Nick's laugh sounds more like I've got you kind of.
Yeah.
He's definitely like a much more fuck you vibes.
Yeah.
I feel like even after he punched him, he knew that Lawrence wouldn't be mad at him. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that's their dynamic in their relationship.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right.
Like, Lawrence didn't give a fuck. He was just like, whatever.
But I think that he used to kind of trust Lawrence, or at least
Yeah, and now he doesn't.
maybe respect him, and now that's all gone. So he's just kind of like over Lawrence's bullshit.
Yeah.
That is, I think, the reason for his change in attitude.
Yeah.
Well, and it definitely gets even worse throughout this scene. His reason for not trusting him or not feeling like he has any power keeps going.
Yeah.
I do think it's good that they have cleared Lawrence's name right off the bat, since it seemed like they were trying to turn him into more of a villain at the end of last season. So that's nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about
Yeah. I knew you would be.
that.
Good news for you very early in the season.
He looks so bird-like too. It's really good.
I do also really like that Nick usually laughs or chuckles at Lawrence's jokes, and the only thing that doesn't get him in the scene is when Lawrence is like, I'm very familiar with the feeling of wanting to run June over with the truck. And it's like he's trying to make a joke, but Nick is just like staring at him. I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the only joke he doesn't laugh at is if it's about June.
Wharton enters then, offers to referee, seems like a jolly fellow, and they switch topics to New Bethlehem. Turns out it is happening, and it's as popular as a private school in Brooklyn. I happen to know parents in Brooklyn, and that's a big fucking deal. Schools there are insane.
Yes.
There's also a trade route through New Bethlehem that's making them money, and all the commanders folded as soon as they realized they could buy shit in Canada easily now. And that was my big New Bethlehem, like, doesn't make sense to me, because why would the commanders let there be, like, a freeish land? So, I mean, they covered it. At least they had a reason.
What did he say? Like a BMW and a Rolex or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, right. That's all it takes.
Which is funny because they already have very nice cars in Gilead. Like they all drive Mercedes. Like
Yeah. And I think they can already get whatever the fuck they want through the black market. But whatever,
Yeah.
at least they're, addressing the issue.
Yeah, but I think that kind of like coincides with what's going on in the real world now, like with capitalism and all that. Like the rich just want more.
Mm-hmm.
So like for them, like, oh, we don't want this. And oh, wait, you're going to give us a Rolex? You're going to give me a nice, pretty car? Like, sure.
Right. All right.
yeah, unfortunately, this show is all too close to home today. So
It's getting insane, and I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
even deal.
There's a moment where Wharton says, who knew the numbers guy had a heart? Like looking at Lawrence.
Yeah.
And Nick kind of like stares Wharton down. I don't know if it means anything, but to me, I was thinking, yeah, it kind of adds to what we were saying before about Nick just not seeing Lawrence the way that he saw him before, or maybe the way that he like wanted to see him.
Yeah. And then, seemingly out of the blue, Mr. Wharton asks about Serena. Shouldn't she be here welcoming people? She's Gilead's global ambassador, after all. He asks if she's still at the Wheelers, and we learn the Wheelers turned out to be problematic. Lawrence tries to claim lady business as the reason for her absence. Vague lady business has probably always worked as an excuse when it's used on him. And then an adorable Angela interrupts the awkwardness. Angela's back in town. She's so adorable, though.
Yeah.
She's so Janine's daughter, too.
Yeah.
She looks so much like her.
looks just like her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's been hiding under Lawrence's desk through all this, and he's fairly adorable, too, in his reaction to her. I think it's like he's supposed to be annoyed, but he also is doing this high-pitched laugh thing that I would love to hear more of. Wharton rescues the child from her scary new dad. Obviously, he's good with kids. And then it's just Nick and Lawrence, and Nick is clearly very uncomfortable with the idea of Serena coming back. Why do you guys think that is? He says, do we have to drag her back into all of this as if it's for her sake? He doesn't want her back, which might be true. Or maybe he thinks Serena will lure June back?
I mean, the way she was acting last season was she was scaring them a bit. Like, she's just this looming presence of like, I know things about you and I can.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weirdly, also, I don't know if this is true or not, but I had a funny feeling that I don't think Nick feels for Serena, but I think there's.
No, he does. He has a soft spot for
Yeah.
her, as fucked up as it is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then, yeah, he does. Like maybe a little bit like June, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I felt in that moment when he said that. I felt like he said, "I'll just let her be." Like,
Yeah. Outside of her.
yeah, that's how I felt. Now that you've said that also about the Nick thing, might not just be because that he has a soft spot for her, but also like she can fuck up the plans, you know what I mean? And
Right.
it seems like
Yeah.
Wharton is obviously very powerful by the looks. Like he said, like Lawrence says, he'd literally jump off the highest bridge and hope for the best. I thought that was very funny.
Right.
I'd jump off a cliff with Josh Charles. So he must be pretty high up. So if like
And Serena's smart.
Well, I think Nick is probably also like nervous about Serena coming back. 'Cause like you guys said, like she knows a lot about him and June, obviously. And Wharton keeps pushing Nick to forget about June. And, you know, the more information that gets out, I don't know how much Wharton knows about Nick and June. I mean, I feel like everybody should know.
It's very hard to know how much anyone knows, really.
yeah.
Based on the like later stuff, I think we'll get to the other scene later, but I think he knows quite a bit about Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd assume that Rose would have talked to him, right? So
Mhm.
if Rose knows, then probably would have told Daddy.
Well, I also kind of felt like they just said like New Bethlehem is doing really well and everything's great. So then all of a sudden Wharton's like, well, let's bring in Serena. Like, let's get her involved. And it's like,
And just fuck it up. The capacity for fucking it up.
do you have like an agenda here? Like, why would we bring her in when things are already fine?
So we saw in the trailer, there's the shots of Serena's wedding, and there's this shot of him like bridal carrying Serena. So like, I assume that means they are going to get married or whatever. So my thought was, now watching this episode with that context for the trailer, do we think he has the hots for Serena? Like,
That's how it seems in this scene. It seems like he has a crush. He's like heard of her.
Yeah. It's so obvious that Wharton has a hard on for Serena. Like, why would you want Serena to come back? He obviously just wants to bone her for sure. Like, you can tell already.
well, and also like he knows she's very powerful, she's very influential. So not only like may he like her, like, you know, oh, she like I like her, but it will make him stronger if he could get her back. And it just feels funny that he's like, oh, we need her back for New Bethlehem after they just talked about how successful it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really seem like there's a need for her. So it seems
Yeah.
to me like he is wanting her back for a personal reason. Like, it's a selfish reason that he wants her back.
I agree.
But in the last episode, like it seemed like Nick thought he was just gonna go back to DC, and then all of a sudden Wharton's like, "Oh, I'm gonna stay around for a while." So like, I think that kind of goes with your theory
Yeah.
that he's
Yeah.
got an agenda that at this point we don't know about. We don't know what he's thinking.
I think it's an interesting dynamic to see Lawrence actually under someone's power, like kind of sucking up to someone, because we haven't really seen that before
No, yeah,
with him.
that's true.
Yeah.
He's kind of on the same level with Waterford and
He thought Fred was an idiot, so
right.
I mean, who wouldn't? But
Yeah, he respects Wharton, I guess, in some ways.
yeah. Well, so far from what we've seen of him, he seems like a reasonable Gilead human.
Yeah.
You know?
As Gilead humans go, I agree. Yes.
I also really like the way that Nick says, "Can we just like, do we have to drag her back?" It's very casual. I mean, I just did it when I was
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
But he just talks so differently to Lawrence.
Right.
And even in this scene, I feel like it's even more.
Yeah, I agree. I like it. It's interesting that Rose isn't in the show at all.
Yeah, she hasn't been much yet.
She's only been in that one scene, right? Like
The one shot.
where she just watched him, yeah. I feel like also that might be because of her being pregnant, you know. I
Yeah,
feel like
maybe.
she's
Yeah.
not going to be in it very often.
In
as
real
in,
life.
like, yeah, in real life, sorry. Yeah, in real life.
Yeah. And just one last note on the trailer. I think it's so crazy that they put Holly.
Yeah, they're giving it away.
There's a picture of Holly in the trailer, so they like blew that surprise. We're the only people in the world that experienced the surprise.
Are you joking?
No, it's not her face. It's from the back, but everybody knows.
Why? Why would they fucking do that?
I don't know.
Yeah, so dumb.
Dumb. So dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we get to see Rita again. I love her. Seriously, if you haven't listened to our Amanda Brugel interview, it was the most moving interview as it relates to The Handmaid's Tale that we've ever done. I fell even more deeply in love with her. But back to the scene. She is gorgeous, by the way. Moira and Luke are packing up their stuff at the aid center. Rita tells them that the refugees are still getting kicked out of the neighborhoods. And just as they're walking out, Rita manages to spit out what she's obviously been dreading to say, and for good reason. She wants to go to New Bethy, the first taker that we know of, because she thinks they can help her find her sister.
Have we heard about Rita's sister before?
Last season, she said they were looking, but they hadn't found any information or something to that effect.
Right, okay. I'm excited for that. I hope she, something comes of it.
Oh, me too. She needs someone.
Yeah.
That would be really nice, yeah, to see her have some type of happiness.
Yeah. Before they can further object to New Bethlehem, June saves Rita. She's calling with her 5-minute-a-week plan, and she's shocked to hear Luke's voice. She thought he was still in jail. Moira and Rita are also eager to talk to her, and Holly is eager to talk to Luke and Moira. Holly looks so happy. I love Cherry Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they recognized her voice after like 2 words, even after all that time.
Yeah, me too.
too. I also like how even Rita chimes in a bye to Holly, even though she doesn't know her, but she's like super excited that her mom's alive.
Yeah.
Aw.
That was cute.
Yeah.
It was very cute. They leave Luke and Jude to chat for another minute, and she tells him that Serena was on the train with her, which he seems to find distasteful. And he decides not to tell her about the whole off to kill commanders with Mayday thing, which looks like he feels very guilty for afterwards.
I love how you said distasteful. That was so funny. To find that distasteful.
It's good phrasing.
It was a good word.
Thank you.
It is kind of stupid to lie to June here because it literally like endangers June later if she's going to have to go save him from this plan. Like, I get it in a way, but it's like...
Do you reckon it was just because it was the phone? Like, I had a feeling maybe it was the phone issue, but...
I don't know.
I just feel like, what could she do? Like, she can't come easily help. I mean, she's going to, obviously, when she finds out he's in trouble. But, like, even if he had told her, like, she can't easily get back. Well, maybe she can, apparently.
Gilead figured out teleportation.
Yeah, they figured it out. But, like, realistically, like, she's not... I don't think she would have been like, okay, well, let me get on the next train and come help you. You know what I'm saying? She's so far...
I think she would, though, because she's crazy and she's June. And...
Yeah. I kind of think she would, too.
I guess I'm just weighing the possibilities of her doing that versus her just running after them with not a plan. I mean, fortunately at the end she's there with Mark, so I guess he can help. But
yeah, I don't think he necessarily made the right decision, and I think you can tell he doesn't know if he's making the right decision either. But I actually don't fault him for this because it seems like a thing that someone that cares about someone would do, and not wanting them to run back.
Yeah, I think he just wants her to stay safe. That was the whole purpose of her going there.
Obviously with baby too, so.
Yeah.
And then knowing, like, he probably also didn't want to be talked out of that choice.
Yeah, that's probably part of it.
Yeah, and once you make, like, a decision to do something insane, you know she's going to try to talk you out of it, and it is going to complicate things, so.
Yeah.
Then, per the usual, Mark and Nick find a very cool and very dark spot to meet up, only lit by the embers of Nick's cigarette. Nick asks about June and Nicole first, of course, and then Mark makes his demands for the payment for their safety, an encrypted phone, and a request for no man's land patrols. Nick seems to object to Mark's use of Mayday. He reminds him these people aren't trained soldiers, they're teachers and Uber drivers, and they're getting destroyed by the Guardians and Eyes. But they want to fight, Mark replies, and that is their right.
Mm-hmm.
So we see the beginning of, what we'll see more of later.
I loved when Tuella was like, what's Mayday? I don't know what that is.
That was funny.
I thought it was cool when Nick's there, you just hear the sound of the lighter with like no, it's just the wide shot under the bridge. And you just know immediately what's going on. I mean, you know anyway, but that was a cool direction choice, I felt like, to have the same wide shot that they're going to have of the two of them standing there together, but just with no one there. You just hear the sound and then they meet in the middle. That was cool.
Yeah. The whole setting was amazing.
Yeah.
The vibes and the music that when they were walking away from each other, the music.
Very ominous.
The whole vibe was really cool. I really love Tuella and Nick together, the dark places that they meet. And
yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's always good.
I enjoy the vibes. And I think they act very well together too.
Mm-hmm.
Both Sam and Max. I think they're very good together.
Yeah. I also really like that it kind of seems like when Nick and Tuella meet, Nick's password is "Are they safe?" and Mark's password is "Yes," and then they can start their conversation. It's like, let's just do the little password thing exchange at the beginning, and then we're good. But how the fuck did they plan this meeting if Nick did not have a phone before this?
Yeah, true.
How did they plan the initial meeting on the bridge, though? Like, when they even, like, met up for the first time for him to go see June? Like,
I mean, I just assumed that he had some other way to call him, but, like, now that he's giving him a phone, it's like, okay, but now we're addressing the fact that you have not had a communication method prior to this.
Right.
You know, it's just one of those, you got to suspend reality.
Yeah,
like...
you just have to move on from it.
It's probably like a carrier pigeon.
I was literally just about to say the same thing. Yeah, it's probably in bed.
He has a bat signal he puts up in the sky. It just says Tuello on it. Like,
I could so imagine him having that though. Like, that would be so cool.
It just spells it out like in a curve, like a rainbow.
Yeah.
That's not suspicious.
yeah.
That would be exactly like Nick and Come Running, because let's be honest.
There's good slow-mo in this too, just to piggyback on Kimberly. There's some slow-mo again.
Yeah, the new thing.
Nick was just like, when is enough enough? And when Tuello says, when there is no one left to fight, Tuello, bam. Tuello's really stepping up. I'm loving it.
Yeah. I don't think, though, that Nick is like, give up. I think he just wishes that there was better organization behind
Yeah.
what was happening.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I also think he's just being realistic. Like, he's trying to stop more needless death and hurt by Gilead. Like, I don't think it was nefarious. Like, he was saying, don't try. He's
Yeah.
just trying to be like, think about it. These are untrained people going against, like, an actual military.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he's just very frustrated because Tuello is supposed to be somebody that has power in America.
He's got none.
Yeah, he lost it.
Right, but I think like if Nick feels like he's putting a lot on the line by doing this, like this is very dangerous for him. And Tuello's just basically coming back and saying like, oh, Uber drivers and pharmacists and teachers are
Running into Gilead.
fighting and running into Gilead. So like Nick doesn't want people to die. And I think he's just frustrated that this is the solution. And it's kind of like, what's more innocent people
Yeah.
to die, and what am I risking it for? Like,
I think also adding to the frustration is he probably thought Tuello was actually working with the United States government. So it would have been like the United States military.
Yeah, the army, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the army. And to find out now, no, it's not actually going to like the US military. So somebody who actually stands a chance against Gilead, but to Mayday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very depressing.
It's probably like very frustrating. Yeah.
yeah.
It is, yeah, because he said that there was like no one left, right?
Yeah.
Like there was no military left to fight. But I feel like I would have liked in this moment for Nick to maybe offer some type of like idea, solution, throw out some kind of idea.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah, that would be better.
Yeah, I think unfortunately the only reason why they're not doing that is because they want you to question him.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
they're back to this thing.
I think realistically he would have done that.
I love Nick, right? But this episode gives me a lot of questions regarding him. And I know in my head, I think he's a good person. Like, that's what we are on this podcast. I think Nick is deep down a good person and he wants to help. But in this episode, it's very questionable.
Right.
And with Warden later. So they're doing a good job at that because I generally don't think that about him. But
I think the key thing I took away though from Nick in this episode is that he's just very frustrated and feels like he keeps running up against a wall. Like,
oh, for sure, yeah.
Lawrence is a letdown. Mark is a letdown. Wharton is like on his ass and got an agenda, and
He's realizing the people that are like in quotes in power don't actually really have any power to do much of anything.
right.
No.
And then this really threw me off because I don't think we've seen one of these in the past 5 seasons.
Never. Not in this show.
No.
No.
But there is a 2 months later title card next. Don't know what's been going on for those 2 months, but now June and Nicole are getting some nice bonding time at the refugee estate in Alaska. She's adorable. And then it goes directly to Serena and Noah in a similar scene. He's so tiny. Cute babies abound. Picking the tomatoes in current time sends Serena into a memory of gardening with her father. He has trimmers in his hands. I have to wonder what Gilead would do for those as they discuss the incoming regime, sort of. It's a bit early. Right now, she's just on her first book tour, and she's just met Fred. Exciting.
That was so funny when she's walking away with her dad. He's like, what did she say? She's like, I've met someone or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just like, you're in for a fucking ride, babe.
She is.
I was hoping that she'd picked an apple. Like, because you know the earlier episode 1 where she was talking about the poison apple. I thought that would have been a
Yeah.
fun little.
And it's a good Bible thing, too. Yeah.
Then it was a tomato. But again, the lighting in the like Lizzie and Yvonne look amazing in this scene. These scenes, like the lighting in the garden and like the way they shot it. It was just like
Yeah, beautiful.
it was so lovely.
I also think it's cool that like the lighting is very bright, like they're supposed to be like good and happy. And then you have like the music, and then once again they like slide that little Gilead twang in there just to kind of show like there's always that like sinister lurking beneath.
Right.
In previous seasons, though, they just do a flashback without kind of making it look like a dreamy kind of thing.
It almost gave me vibes of like last season when Nick had the daydream of kissing June.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like it's just her like fondly remembering. It's less of a flashback and just her like having this memory, you know, of with her dad, and we're seeing her remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think in the next scene, it kind of establishes, especially who she is and maybe what's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think as we kind of see later on, like this is kind of part of Serena's journey where she kind of sees herself as a savior.
Yeah.
She's on the promised land. So she's looking at, her past and when she was on her book tour with her ideas as like an innocent time, I guess, or a meaningful.
Yeah. And then the next scene is like
Dark.
yeah.
Yeah.
Straight from that, we get another Nick stand-in dad fireplace scene. Some of our favorites. This time it's stand-in daddy Wharton. Wharton gives Nick a lecture on why they call themselves the sons of Jacob, because so many of them had to make do without real fathers. And this was something Max touched on in our interview with him too. That there's perhaps a theme in this show and reality of men without strong father figures. Let's just say affecting them. The crazy part about this scene is we get one of the only pieces of Nick's background here about his family. Previous to this, we've only known his dad and brother were laid off at the steel mill. His brother took to drinking for breakfast, and Nick spent all his time trying to track him down, which made it hard for Nick to keep a job. That was when he had his flashback in 108, and that's when Price targeted him for the Sons of Jacob and promised him a job with flexibility to take care of his family. Now we learn his mom worked at a diner, and Wharton judges her for that. Nick says she loved it. They both agree that his father was a difficult man, which seems to be an understatement. And Wharton knows Waterford and Lawrence have played father figures for him, though Nick insists he's never been confused about the roles they played in his life.
I love that he says that because I feel like I kept thinking, how is Nick not clocking this? Like throughout the last few seasons.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of telling you, no, he was aware of what was going on. He was just like going with it. So I really like that they clarified that.
Yeah. Wharton walks out with a warning. Make every decision for your son. Will this help him or hurt him? Make good choices. Sorry for writing every word he said, but it was an important conversation because the next thing Nick does seems terrible. As Wharton goes upstairs, he stands up and throws the SIM card from the phone Tuello gave him into the fire.
Boo.
I think the main takeaway that I had the last time I watched this was like, WTF happened in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it just feels like something has happened that we're not seeing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I feel like the way Wharton talks to him as well, it's very calm, very convincing. He seems like a very smart man.
Right. If Nick had actually internalized his speech, he'd realize that Wharton is just the next Waterford or Lawrence trying to make him do, what he wants.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's good at getting through.
Yeah, for sure. He seems very balanced at the moment, you know what I mean? Unlike other commanders that we've seen. He's got a different vibe to him.
The smartness makes him scary in a new way too.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't manipulate him probably.
And he seems to care about Nick at this moment anyway.
He does, yeah, at the moment.
Yeah, I think if you compare this to like the fire scene with Lawrence in season 4, like in that scene, Nick is more comfortable with him than he's ever been with any of his father figures. As in, like, he's kind of letting Lawrence know like his feelings about June and he can open up a little bit. Whereas in this scene, like, you have the ominous music, like a horror movie. And
Yeah.
I think Nick gets the sense that like he's talking to him about having a father and, making choices and all this stuff. And I think Nick kind of is clocking that, like, this is very, like, dangerous and he can't trust this man.
Yeah. I'm very curious, like, one of you just said, like, what's happened in the last 2 months, because obviously Tuello gave him the phone 2 months ago. There's obviously been not much progress, if any, on that front.
Well, they've been communicating because of the scene that comes later.
Yeah.
With the phone call with Mark. So that Mark was in touch with Nick for a while that way.
Yeah.
And then he stopped responding.
Mm-hmm.
My only comment on this scene, and I thought it after the season 1, episode 2, is Warden is constantly, like, this is the second episode, he has been harping on Nick to make good choices, do the right thing.
Mm-hmm,
And I really, really, really think this is going to end with Nick subverting that, because obviously Wharton wants him to do the right thing for Gilead and for Rose.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it's going to, with Nick, like I said, subverting that and doing the right thing, but not for Gilead, but for himself, for June, or for, like, the greater good.
Yeah.
And, like, I could be wrong because, it's The Handmaid's Tale and I could be wrong. But, to me, like, he looked dead inside after he threw out that SIM card. Like, he sat back down and he looked dead.
Yeah.
He's not happy about anything he's having to do. And I think he's going to have to come to terms with, he's really going to, like, weigh on those words that are being said to him constantly. And he's going to realize the right thing is actually the opposite from what Wharton wants him to do.
I also wouldn't be surprised if throwing the SIM card out had more to it than we know at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
I think so. They've never done a time jump like that. And it's significant that they did it right after the scene with him and Tuello.
Yeah.
But I also think that he is frustrated. He is dead inside because we've never really seen him drink very much. Like I feel like he'd have a sip maybe. And then after Wharton points out like his father being a difficult man, Nick took a drink, and then there was two other times in this scene where he was drinking like a good sip. So I think it's just showing that he's pretty much feels like he's screwed right now. And then Wharton keeps talking about make good choices, and it reminded me so much of his conversation with June in last season in episode 9. June had said to Nick before he walked away, children look to their fathers, set an example. And then, Wharton also made the point of you're going to be a father soon. So I feel like in his head, he's probably thinking of Nicole.
Yeah.
And everyone keeps saying make good choices. And I mean, there are no good choices.
I mean,
yeah.
I feel like for me this season, I need to see Nick doing things that aren't for June.
Yeah, I think we all want that.
Essentially, I need to see him stepping up and doing, like, I don't know what's going to trigger it, and I hope that happens in, I don't know, at least the next couple of episodes where Bullet fires up his ass or something. But I don't know. I don't want it to happen just because June's in danger or June asks him to.
Right.
I just want him to do it for like himself, like one of you said. Like I want him to do it because he wants to do it.
Yeah. I just think it's fairly foreboding that the show has decided once again to do this like ambiguous. Is he actually a Gilead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that doesn't bode well for this season. I am bracing myself.
You don't reckon it bodes well?
I don't reckon it bodes well for Nick this season. I think even though I genuinely believe he's a good guy, trying to do the best he can, etc., the show just really loves this trying to make people think he's bad thing, and they're doing it again. And so I don't think it's going to get better before it gets worse myself, but we'll see.
Right. Same.
No, I think it's going to be worse for a while in this season, to be fair.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
If it happens, it might be in the last, like,
couple episodes.
You know what I mean?
Which is so frustrating because
that
we're
is frustrating.
time. Like we're like on a clock at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on a time crunch, guys.
We're on a time. Yeah. I mean, like
we don't have much left.
We've done the dark, is he a good guy or not, for many years, and we kind of want to now just see him doing stuff for longer than like an episode.
I agree.
Yeah, but I don't have high hopes for that myself, but I hope that I'm surprised.
Me too. I've got my like expectations are like the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like literally the bare fucking minimum.
I think one way that they could make it work would be if they were to give us some from his perspective, like start showing us what he's actually doing, even though other characters might not know what he's doing. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I think that would
be really helpful.
That would fix this problem in a way, because they could still make him like ambiguous and close to other characters, or make it seem shady, but like let us see a little bit more of what he's doing.
Right.
And then we would be able to like realize what the purpose is really.
I think whether you love him or hate him, we all want to know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
For sure.
I think for me, like, up to the season 4 finale, like, I love that character. He was amazing.
Yeah.
And then when they decided to make him marry again and have a baby, like, it's just too much. That character wouldn't have done that,
No.
in my opinion, because of what happened with Eden and with getting Nicole out. So I think it's kind of, I mean, the way that I process it is he just feels like kind of a different character at this point.
Yeah.
I will see what happens.
It's like an alternate version.
Yeah.
Alternate universe version.
Right.
I had one more thing I wanted to add about, so in the beginning, or right after the time jump, June is reading a book, The Little Red Hen, to Nicole, and she's making a comment to her like, oh, I have to do it all on my own. Or in the book, the Little Red Hen like has to do everything by herself, and nobody wants to help her unless it benefits them. So I kind of felt like there was a reason why they chose that book. And it just kind of reminded me of, like, in this scene, I feel like Nick is truly on his own. Like, he used to kind of have Lawrence to, like, I don't know, help him, I guess, or somewhat guide him.
Yeah, he is alone. Very alone.
Yeah, so I just feel like that's kind of foreshadowing, I guess, that he's really, truly on his own now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get out of there and go to Mayday and meet with Twilight.
My
and your
God.
buddy. Go. Leave right now.
Please.
Please.
Get the fuck out.
Like, I love Lawrence and Nick together, but now that we've got Tuello and Nick, now there's another vibe we can have. You know, I'm gonna prefer that vibe.
There's a lot of vibes. A lot of vibes we can have.
Vibing.
We can and should.
But they fucked him because you know, with a wife and a baby that are going to be punished if you get in trouble. Like,
That's how they trapped them.
Yeah.
He's trapped.
that's how they trapped him, and what's he supposed to fucking do? I mean, I still want him to do Mayday, but there's literally no ending situation for him. There's no way out.
Yeah. Just swinging back to the creepy horror vibes of the scene, I did really like the music at the end, and also the shot right as Wharton is walking out. There's this like creepy shot that I guess is supposed to be from sort of Nick's POV, looking up at Wharton, and the like light fixture is behind him.
Those lights are weird.
Yeah.
He's like looming over him, and you just have this like very off-putting angle, like
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
in a great way, like off-putting in a great way. Unsettling, I guess, is a good word for it. It just feels very like,
Yeah.
whoa, we've tilted down to a angle we don't usually see people from. I don't know. I liked that a lot.
Right.
And then Wharton's pause, like when he leaves the room and he just stands there for a minute.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like it enhances the creepiness.
That was creepy for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. June's calling Luke again, but Luke's not answering. She's concerned. And Abigail does indeed know exactly who Serena is. She asks Serena what she thinks of the things that she's done, and manages to get Serena to take one very small ounce of culpability. Probably fake, though. I was wrong, she says. And Abigail tells her to set it right. Then we're back in another flashback later, and it seems like it's right before the takeover, which, of course, did not actually lead to a new Garden of Eden. Her dad's Parkinson's has gotten much worse, so he can't respond the way Serena's hoping he will. It's sad. I don't mean for Serena, but also for Serena since he's her dad. But Parkinson's is very sad.
Yeah.
It's awful. Yes.
Yeah.
This is when I realized that, because now I'm wondering, this could go both ways, right? With the way they've shot this scene where she's like, make it right, and then we see her with her dad making it very wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like they're trying to make us believe that, yeah, it could go both ways. Either one, she has been this way and she's always going to be this way forever, or two, that she's actually going to change in some way. I'm going to say the first one.
Well, I think it shows though her two journeys, because her first journey, she wrote her book and wanted to make everything like, you know, she wanted to make the world a better place, and then that didn't happen.
In quotes to her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Her version of better.
Exactly. And then that clearly did not go the way she wanted it to. So now
Right.
I think again, like she's got Abigail telling her like, oh, I read your book and you can set things right and God is watching. And she says to, then Serena says to her dad about like going to the Garden of Eden, which is like the promised land. So I feel like this is her like, okay, now I have my second journey and now this time it's going to go.
She's going back to her roots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think she's always going to double down on Gilead. Like we saw it on the train, like when she was like very clearly in like active danger from these like people that wanted to like harm her, and she still was doubling down on like, we did the right thing.
Right.
What was the line about like, God saved your children? It was something, I forget the line exactly, but it's like, no, they weren't kidnapped, we saved them. Like she just repeatedly doubles down on Gilead and like what she did was the right thing.
Well, it's like when she gave birth, like with June, like it seemed like, oh, maybe she could finally like understand
Yeah.
June's perspective. And then she just is like, nope, never mind it.
I think what it is though is it's like Serena wants to go back to having the power and the arrogance of a savior of these people, and like that's what she wants to get back to. It's not she doesn't want to get back to something that's actually good,
Right.
because the start of her journey was still terrible. She just wants to get back to the beginning, try it again, and try to have real power
And not lose it.
Right. So I don't think it's about her doing a good thing or the right thing, except that's what she's convinced herself she's doing.
Right. In her mind, it's the right thing.
It's good for her. Like, what is good for me? Like, I think she's always going to be very self-serving first, like, ultimately. How can this help me? Even if I'm disguising it as, oh, I want to help others or make the world a better place. Like, ultimately, she's coming from a place of selfishness.
Yeah.
And wanting to better herself and be, like you said, be powerful, be in charge.
I think she really does believe she's like God's chosen too. Like she says that later, that she's been like, you know, selected for this greater purpose, that, you know, she's going to fix the world and change things. But again, like you said, Tina, she's putting that on herself. Like she's God.
Right.
Back in real time, Lawrence and Naomi pull up to the farm out of the blue. Wasn't Fred arrested for stepping foot in Canada without permission? Anyhow, the Lawrences have arrived, and Naomi doesn't waste a moment showing off her new catch. Perhaps she knew Serena's proposal got rejected last season, so she defeated her old frenemy. Yay.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Sorry, like, I forgot that happened.
Yeah, that was a very funny scene. Don't forget about that.
No, it really was, yeah.
Lawrence and Serena are walking, revisiting their conversation from last season, but Lawrence has lost the upper hand and must rescind his order of exile. Serena toys with him a bit, taunts him with how men fuck everything up, and she's happy here in this community of women and children, but we all know better. She wants power, she always has and always will, and he clinches the deal by threatening her with the Wheelers.
When he was like, you don't write, you don't call, we come in peace, and he's like literally holds the peace sign up.
Yeah. His peace signs in both hands, yeah. So funny.
I was like, that's so Bradley doing that, right?
Yeah.
That's definitely his choice, I reckon. Oh, he's so funny. Like, I just love him.
I know.
He's the best.
Yeah. I really like at the beginning of their walk when Lawrence is looking around at the place she's living and he just says, well, this is cute.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, he's so funny. And then when he's like, it's crazy what women are capable of.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just the way he says it. Like obviously I should be offended, but I don't know why I'm not.
He's so out of touch with like human connection and
Yeah.
I feel like he's almost joking too, though. Like, I feel like he knows. Like, his wife was an amazing,
yeah.
you know, but he's just trying to, I don't know, he's just being Lawrence, I suppose.
Yeah.
I love when Serena said men make a mess of things
Yeah.
because I feel like that's going along with her journey. Like the first time, like Fred and all the other commanders fucked up her plan. So
Yeah.
this time around, she's just like, I'm in charge.
Mm-hmm. I'd be interested to know how and everything would have turned out if it was just like her plan only. Probably shit still.
It's still shit.
Think so.
Now we're back with June cutting the line in a very June-like move, although I have to think the people would revolt. She manages to get another turn on the phone. She calls Tuello and clearly gets bad news, which we learn about when she tells Holly. Turns out Luke and Moira are stuck in no man's land. She has to fly out to help them because Nick has stopped responding to Tuello's calls. Because Nick melted the SIM card. And now she tells Holly about Nick, and it does not go as she'd hoped, or as we'd hoped. Which makes sense because she doesn't actually give Holly much real information. She could have said he's been getting intel on Hannah, or he helped her escape twice, but instead they both just fly off the handle. Holly says she's flying back to fucking Nazi, and June lashes out, as she's wont to do, and attacks Holly for abandoning her. Just a lot of good, healthy communication. And beyond the Nick issue, they have a bigger issue now. Now that June has turned into a fighter, Holly has gone the other way. She doesn't believe in fighting anymore because all it did was land her in the colonies.
I feel like they're setting every character up for a journey, right? So Holly's probably
I'm gonna go back to fighting, yeah.
Yeah, they had to
Yeah.
do this to then make her have some growth in the season and show her. Yeah, I'm assuming, but yeah.
Yeah, I was always looking forward to their reunion so she could learn what her daughter had become and be proud of her, but it's kind of not the way the cookie crumbled in this conversation.
But I'm also curious, what do they talk about for the last 2 months? Like none of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have that question.
I imagine that her mom might have been hesitant to bring any of this up because of knowing that it was related to June's trauma and like waiting for her to bring it up. And it doesn't come up until things are getting tense.
Yeah.
I feel like it's also probably a safe assumption on her part to assume, like, she knew she was a handmaid. She knows what the purpose of handmaids are.
Right,
Like,
Yeah.
so she wouldn't ask.
I don't need to ask questions. I know. Like, I know what happened.
Yeah.
I know how you had a baby, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. She might also not be asking it too, like just for trauma purposes. I don't know.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
Yeah, because she knows her own trauma. So if
she knows.
and she probably knows she doesn't want to talk about things, so she doesn't want to make June do that.
Yeah.
That's why I think maybe she reacted the way she did regarding Nick, you know, because she talked about
Oh, for sure.
she talked about like, I saw those men in the colonies, I patched them up. So she was like, I know what these men are like. I know.
Yeah.
So we don't know what her trauma is. We don't know what she experienced. So I think that like clouded a lot of what she was saying. And it was probably part of the reason why she wasn't listening to June saying like constantly, no, he's not. He's not. I know he's not. He loves Nicole. I wish she had thrown in like he loves me too. Like I know that, but I understand why she didn't. But I think that really definitely clouded her mom's judgment and stopped her from being able to listen to June, like protesting.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right.
Well, I think June also knows her mom's always, I guess, essentially hated men anyway. So
That too.
Yeah. Like,
so now she's got a man that she loves who's an eye and a commander. So how are you going to go about explaining that to her when you
oh, yeah. No.
like you have to fight with somebody about something that means so much to you. And sometimes you're just so exhausted or so overwhelmed and you don't even know where to begin to convince this person who already has her mind up of how to explain that he's actually a good person.
Right.
I feel like she would have to meet him as well, and also know, like, I honestly think though that it would be very hard to convince her
Yeah.
that he was a good person, regardless of if they met, and even if she knew like the good things that he's done, because essentially, like,
It's bad on paper. It sounds bad on paper.
it is. It's very bad on paper.
Yeah.
And knowing Holly from previous like flashbacks that we've seen about her, there's no way in hell that she would like him just in that scene. I don't mean if she met him, she wouldn't like him. I just mean
On principle.
she's saying, oh, he's a commander, he's an eye. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way, absolutely no chance that she would ever be accepting of that.
And like, while I wish June would have, like, when she was protesting, I wish June would have been like, no, listen, like, he is bent over backwards to get me info on Hannah. Like, he's done so
Yeah.
much. Like, he is actually different. I do also understand why her response was, well, fuck you. Because
Yeah.
that is how June, that's how we've seen her respond to all of those highly charged moments, or like ones that are really emotional.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, instead of stopping and explaining, no, he's different and here's why, she just like, well, fuck you. Like, I think back to, when Nick in season 3 came to her and he was like, oh, I'm being shipped off. And, instead of like wanting to talk to him about it or like be there for him, she was just like, well, bye.
Yeah.
She was pissed and she reacted similarly. Like, she has this, like, it's almost like she just shuts down and is like,
Right.
I'm going to hurt you back.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to reason through it.
I think she was also triggered though, because right before that, Holly was talking about how she doesn't want to fight anymore and she regrets doing that and she missed out on time with June.
Yeah.
And I think for June, like knowing how strong of a fighter her mom has always been, and she's always been taught to do that. And I feel like with everything June has been through, like risking her life 87 million times and risking other people's lives and, essentially sacrificing even Nicole by sending her to Canada with Emily. Like, I feel like she's always had her mom in the back of her head, like telling her to fight. Maybe thinking like, oh, she'd be proud of me. And now she's facing her and she's saying, no, I wish I didn't do that. And
Yeah.
I think she's like shocked and then conflicted. She's essentially sacrificing her time with Nicole to do the same thing. So then when you throw the fact that like now she's got to explain to him why Nick is not like other commanders.
Not a Nazi. Yeah.
Right. I think it's just too much at once to process.
She also she hasn't talked about this that we've seen. So
with anybody.
You mean Nick?
Yeah, June hasn't talked about Nick and the situation with him.
Yeah, she doesn't talk to anyone.
And her relationship. So maybe it's like really hard for her to talk about anyway. So she's already starting out from it being hard, and then she's stressed about what's going on. And when she gets stressed and afraid, she gets angry. So it makes sense. And like what Tina was saying about the season 3, episode 3, where she kind of is mean to Nick and he leaves the room. She kind of does the same face at the end of the scene when her mom walks out. She makes this like slow blink and then says mom, like as Holly is leaving the scene. So it's like as the person is leaving, she kind of realizes
she's fucked it,
what she's done and how harsh she's been.
Yeah.
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 Because not only was it fuck you, it was like you abandoned me basically. So she was just like
really laying in
like 2 jabs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
The acting in this scene was amazing, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it was so good.
So nice to have Cherry Jones. She's great.
Yes, definitely. Now, I do have to say, when she says to her mom, he can help, but he has stopped responding to their calls. Why is she not worried about this?
Yeah. I know. Maybe Nick is dead.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe she is, and she's just not saying it.
I think she's worried, but I think it's probably more of I can't really
explain it to my mom.
Explain that to my mom after she just called him a Nazi. So
maybe.
I feel like she's only worried about Luke. And maybe it's just because, she doesn't think Luke can handle that and she thinks that Nick can. I'm not talking shit. That's just from experience, and history.
Yeah, I feel like also though in their last meeting, like obviously June didn't know that Nick obviously visited her in the hospital and stuff.
God, that annoys me.
Yeah, they were talking like, you've got a wife and you have a baby. June has, obviously she loves Nick, but Nick has a whole other fucking thing going on, and I feel like that meeting wasn't amazing.
Right, but I think like if you think he's dead though, he's just not going to care that he has his wife, etc. Like I think that she should be like very scared for his like health at this moment, because in Gilead you die easily and suddenly, and she hasn't heard from him.
Oh, for sure, yeah. We don't really see her emotions towards him with other people though, right? So she doesn't really express them to anybody that we know of.
No, nobody. On the Holly and June like reversals, sort of. It just also made me think of a quote from the book when she says, "No mother is ever completely a child's idea of what a mother should be," and I suppose it works the other way around. But despite everything we didn't do badly by one another, we did as well as most. I wish she were here so I could tell her I finally know this. But yeah, it's kind of the same now, but in reverse roles. They're still struggling, I guess, you know.
What episode was that in? There was a voiceover where she said that. I can't remember which episode. Season 2, probably?
The Escape?
Season 2, when she was on the plane, I think that got shot down.
Yeah, when she was...
I think that is it, yeah.
Mm.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a good line.
All right, now we're at a dinner at the farmhouse. Do you think Joseph Lawrence has ever experienced a meal that wasn't awkward as fuck? It seems like not.
No.
Anyway, he's the lone man at a table of women, and he nearly chokes on his cravat when they ask him to say grace. But honestly, that was better than Naomi's flailing attempt. Or Serena's professional homily. The jaunty music behind her polished prayer tells us something is coming, as does her rising from the table to announce her ascension to her vaulted place back in Gilead.
This was so funny to me. This is hilarious. The whole music thing, the way she stood up, what she was saying, like, I was just laughing.
It was quite humorous.
Yeah.
For those of you counting at home, this must be nearly the 10th time she's chosen to leave a safe, free place to return to Gilead. And my God, she's so arrogant. I cannot take the arrogance at this moment. It's so much.
It reminded me, there's like some woman who was like a YouTube person that like was abusing her kids.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Ruby Frankie. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I watched that documentary.
Serena's like reminding me of that bitch right now.
I could see it. Yeah.
Just being chosen by God for this like crazy thing that's like so psychotic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's funny though how Naomi and Lawrence like can't say a prayer because even though Gilead is supposed to be based on God, like they obviously don't believe, and they're kind of like the showpieces of Gilead.
Oh yeah, it was ridiculous.
It's all surface. And now Serena is like, here I am. I'm the savior. Like, and she's like also kind of one-upping Naomi, like, oh look,
Yeah.
you can say a prayer and look at me. I'm like Jesus.
I just love that she decided to tag along on the like Canada field trip. She's like, yeah, I want to go to
Yeah.
this one. Like that to me was so cute that she
I bet Lawrence is just like, fuck, man.
I know he was probably like, oh, I was gonna get some away time, and now I don't. Like
God damn it.
Why do we think Naomi went? Was it just to see Serena in peril because she kind of likes that?
It could be that maybe Lawrence took her because they were friends in quotation marks.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe Naomi didn't choose to go. Maybe it was Lawrence saying you could convince her because she, you were friends.
I bet you it was both reasons, really.
Yeah. Although he didn't even use her to convince her to come back though. He just trottled off on his own with her.
That's true.
To wait in the car. Yeah.
Yeah, just you wait here.
I mean, I think she came because this is their honeymoon, right?
Oh.
ooh, it could be.
This meal could then be their honeymoon meal.
Very romantic.
Yeah,
Mhm.
really romantic. I loved when though Lawrence couldn't, he was like, it's deeply personal to me. And then they were like, oh, what about you, Naomi? And he like lets out this big sigh. He's like, oh.
I got off the hook.
No, but I think he was mainly, I thought it was like a sigh as in like, oh, now Naomi's going to have to like,
Yes.
yeah. I was just like, eye roll.
Back at the farmhouse, June and her mom have calmed down a bit. They don't broach Nick again, unfortunately, but she does tell Holly that Nicole's real name is Holly. Very exciting that this elephant in the room for 3 seasons has finally been addressed.
It happened. Yay.
Yay.
My God, I was so happy. Like, you have no idea how happy. I've been fighting this battle on social media for like 4 years. So I was like, finally, like, it's over.
Yeah, we've been like stubbornly calling her Holly, and people are confused all the time, and we're just like, no, I'm not backing down. I'm just
Literally all the time.
Right.
No, I'm not.
She named her Holly.
I was like, I know I'm right.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. And now I have confirmation I'm right. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's funny because usually in my notes I call her Holly, but today I had to write Nicole because I was so confused.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
I was just like, Holly said that, and Holly. I was like, oh God, this is going to be way too confusing.
They did finally get us to call her Nicole just by inserting another Holly in the scene. It's too confusing.
Yeah, they did.
They win. They win.
Yeah, actually, that's kind of funny. It's like ironic that when we finally get to call her Holly, we can't because
We can't.
she's in a scene with another Holly.
It's too confusing. Yeah. It won't stop me.
No,
Yeah.
no. Holly M and Holly O, something like that.
Yeah.
So, if anyone doesn't remember, June named her baby Holly in the episode she was born, and then Nick and June agreed her real name was Holly. And then June told Luke her name was Holly, and then we never heard the name again. Legend has it because Margaret Atwood insisted she be named Nicole because of the testaments. But since that poor girl goes through like 5 names before it's all said and done, I really don't see how a couple people calling her Holly can hurt, and now they will. Yay.
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 And I'm so glad she specifically told Holly, her mom, this
I know, seriously.
because she was her namesake. Yeah. I can't believe it took her 2 months to tell her.
How amazing that they got that chance.
I was so happy.
It's such a moving moment though, too. Like to
Yeah.
find out that you named your child after me, like that's
Right.
really like it helps bridge at the rockiness of the
Chasm.
relationship they've always had, you know?
Yeah.
And the look June got in her like eyes when she realizes she hasn't told her this yet, you know, like she just said Nicole and she's like Nicole.
Nicole.
I don't know, it was just like a cute look on her face right before she told her.
Yeah, it was good.
Then there's a montage of first Serena leaving the farmhouse in her new pink getup, and then June leaving Holly in Alaska, both looking pretty excited for their new adventure. They really can't sit still long, those two. Serena's on a plane with the Lawrences, then in a car heading into New Bethlehem. June's in an army truck dropped at what looks like an old abandoned ski resort. And Tuello is clearly happy to see June again. Serena and Noah get out to check out their second new digs of this episode and walk out into the yard overlooking the water where Nick also awaits them.
Looking like their realtor in the yard.
I know, he does. He did good. I like the place he found for them.
Yeah, they did good. Nice little house there. Wonder if she'll struggle off into the water again like she did in season 3.
Oh, we can hope.
Did you just say straddle off?
I did.
That's fantastic. I've never heard that before.
Is that a word? Like, I don't know.
I don't know, but I love it.
She's like, it's not even an Aussie word.
If it's not, it is now.
Oh no, it's a good one.
I knew exactly. I could picture it, what a straddle is.
I feel like I was trying to say either like toddle or straddle, and it just kind of like
Straddle. I like it.
pushed into one word.
I really like it.
It's good.
I like the hybrid.
I thought it was cool how, like, when June was leaving, she kind of looks back. Like, it reminded me at the end of season 4 when she's leaving to go kill Fred. Like, she looks back and she's ready to, like, battle. And I just think I love how this time, though, she's less tense. It's like she's a different warrior now. Like, she's lost a lot of that blinding rage, and now it's a more controlled
Yeah.
anger and, like, fight in her. So I just thought it was really cool that her headspace is obviously very different now,
Mhm.
which hopefully should lead to a more successful fight throughout the season.
Let's hope so. Very much looking forward to the Mayday aspect of this season.
Yes.
June enters the resort, finds the group waiting for her, and immediately assumes her typical leadership position. Hey, my name is June. Let's bring them home.
Yay!
And that's the end of the episode.
Those are all Mayday peeps, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they're the teachers and Uber drivers and
Oh yeah.
I just, again, the lighting, we were talking, Kimberly mentioned it earlier. Like, I just love what they do. Like, they had the dark lighting for June. Like, she's going into the bad place, you know, in Gilead, but she is trying to do good. And then for Serena, like, you have the very bright light, like she's going to paradise.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a contrast.
New Bethlehem is so, like, cookie cutter and fake.
Looks AI generated or something. Like,
It does, yeah.
I did catch that. Yeah.
But it's just supposed to be fake, right? Because she's
yeah.
quote unquote going to do good and help people when we know. I mean, look, I don't know what's going to happen the rest of the season, but nothing Serena does ends up benefiting. You know, she's not doing good.
But yeah, it does. It looks very much like a facade, which is what the people are too. So
Yeah.
All right, I think that's a wrap on our discussion of season 6, episode 2. Come back, well, right now, I guess, for episode 3, because they all dropped today, and next week for episode 4. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.